guys, welcome back to my channel. I am so sorry I have been gone for a little while. I was sick, and then I had Easter come up and the kids came over, and it just got to be so busy I didn't get to pump out any videos. So today, oh my gosh, excuse my eyeshadow. Today I want to talk about Gypsy Rose though, okay? So it seems that Gypsy Rose Blanchard, who recently was released out of prison on December 23rd, 2023, to date on the Gypsy Rose situation. Now, if you're not, I'll give you a little synapse of the situation. Gypsy was in prison because of the involvement in the slaying of her mother, who suffered unknowingly with Munchausen by proxy. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I have a hard time with that word. But she caused Gypsy an immense amount of grief and abuse. Gypsy Rose was given unneeded medical care, including having surgeries such as eliminating her salivary glands because she was drooling too much, to having her be in a wheelchair 24/7 even though Gypsy could walk. So I mean, those are just two telling things. And of course, people with that condition are also very codependent on you, so that's another thing that was a struggle for Gypsy Rose. She could not escape this situation because of the fact that she just had, every time she tried to, she was put right back with her mother. And she felt that the only way out was to, I believe, now this is just speculation on my part and it's my opinion, but I believe that she maybe unintentionally or intentionally, we don't know, manipulated Nick into being a part of this slaying of her mom because she played on Nick's, I guess, like, inner demon, you could call it, or whatever you want to call it. It was like another personality. This guy's name was Vincent. I believe that Gypsy Rose definitely played on that piece of him, and, with his mental illnesses and stuff, right from wrong is like a wishy-washy subject. So, I mean, I completely believe that out of love and out of all that, she manipulated him into killing her mother. Now, while in prison, Gypsy Rose married Ryan Anderson in July of 2022. And again, I believe that might be, this is just speculation, but she may have manipulated him as well so that she would look good in front of the parole board to be let out under his care, basically, for stability. Now, that's just my opinion, my speculation of the situation. Yeah. Blanchard made this statement: "I'm sorry, I'm learning. I take accountability for my part." She said in a TikTok, "I did a bad thing, but I've also been given a second chance at life. So please give me a little grace. Let my actions match my words, and we'll go from there." So, I mean, I guess I could be totally wrong. She does seem like a very sweet person, and maybe she doesn't realize she's doing it. A lot of times, I will say that when my sister that recently passed away, I was basically partially raised by her, and she did, in fact, cause me a lot of grief with the manipulation, because a lot of times master manipulators have an agenda behind everything they do. Whether they plan it for months, weeks, years, they have an agenda behind what they do. That being said, I believe that with everything that, like I said, she might be unintentionally doing this, but all of her actions have an agenda behind them. She is a product of her mother, who she inadvertently learned all of these. We do plan on having a reception redo wedding with all of our family and friends, and the dress and the cake and everything, because we deserve that. I deserve that. He deserves that, she said. Our prison wedding was just something to where we can make our vows to each other. It was something that meant something to us, and I think the party is kind of for everybody else. So, I mean, with that being said, that is just wild to me. she inadvertently learned all of these manipulation tactics from her mother. So what I'm saying is not to completely bash Gypsy and Ryan's decision, but in my opinion, I just think that she's actually doing the right thing by wanting to get to know herself and everything like that and find herself, because, you know, she got out of an abusive, controlling relationship with her mother, you know, in a sad way. But now that she's out, you know, then she went right to another codependent relationship with her husband. People have been asking what is going on in my life. Unfortunately, my husband and I are going through a separation, and I moved in with my parents' home down the bayou, she wrote. Multiple publications have also reported, I have the support of my family and friends to help guide me through this. I am learning to listen to my heart right now. I need time to let myself find who I am, and that's great. Where I believe she needed to definitely, you know, cut ties, honestly, because I didn't see it being healthy from the very, very beginning. For me, being a medium, I can like see the intensity in Gypsy's eyes, where I don't believe fully that she's lying or trying to lie about things. I think she just doesn't know where she's at this point. It's so crazy. I can't even wrap my head around what social media is, she said. And with the public scrutiny as bad as it is, I just don't want to live my life under a microscope, which is completely understandable. You know what I mean? So from the beginning, when she was released and she was, you know, boosted into all of these social media clout and all of the media interviews and, you know, her show and everything like that coming out, I believe that it was very overwhelming for her, and we all, like, a lot of people just clung to her and wanted to cling to a heartwarming story with her. But at the same time, you have to put yourselves in her shoes to really see, that she's struggling inside still. She wasn't healed getting out of prison like that. You know what I mean? Now, like my sister, you could also see in Gypsy's eyes that the ball was always rolling. There was always something in her head going on. Like, you can tell just by looking at her in the interviews and everything like that. 3 months ago, though, she said that her and Ryan were going to renew their vows in front of friends and family and everything like that. But I guess that is not going to happen. At the time, she probably was very excited, but at the same time, her codependency needs were still very, very strong. So I believe Gypsy felt more comfortable getting out to Ryan and being with Ryan, knowing that he was going to be there for her, and it was in a lot of ways going to be just like the relationship between her and her mother. You know, I believe that she got out. She believed that she was actually really free. Now, a lot like my sister, I do believe that Gypsy has the issue where she does use people in her life to her advantage. I mean, everybody kind of does in a way, but I believe that she, my sister would like use people to her advantage, and then she wouldn't talk to them anymore after they served their purpose. And a lot of times that ruins relationships with people, you know, burning bridges and things like that. Now, while making this video, I did find an article in Us Magazine about how Gypsy Rose was seen out getting tattoos with her ex-fiance Ken Urquhart. Gypsy Rose Blanchard got tattoos with ex-fiance Ken Urquhart days after news broke that she and husband Ryan Scott Anderson had split. Urquhart's mother, Raina Williams, spoke with People for an interview published on Tuesday, April 2nd, and confirmed that Gypsy had reunited with her son. But she says that they are not a couple, that he is just being a supportive friend. Ken was her fiance before Ryan in prison. She had gotten a letter from Ken, and they were starting to talk and all that and got engaged. But then all of a sudden, she left and went to Ryan for whatever reason. Now, but, that's just speculation that they're together, as well at this time. Because Ken's own mother states that I think she's a sweet girl, Williams also told People. I think she's made her mistakes and she's trying to learn from them like anyone else. And I care a lot for Gypsy and I want to see good things happen to her. When it comes to a relationship, Williams said there are no plans on a romantic scale right now for Gypsy and Urker. Williams and Urker learned of Gypsy's story while watching the documentary Mommy, Dead and Dearest. Urker then sent a letter to Gypsy in 2018 while she was incarcerated, and they were engaged that same year. But like I said, for some reason, she up and left and went to Ryan. Her son and Gypsy are not back together, that they are just hanging out as friends. And this is according to Us Magazine. She says Ken is just being a supportive friend for Gypsy at this time. She probably really does need somebody at this time. She doesn't have a big support system. So I believe that with her therapy, her ongoing therapy, and then maybe this connection with Ken, she can, really start to build herself and find herself. And if Ken wants to wait around, who knows? Maybe they will have a relationship, She could just, like I said, be getting support from him. We don't know the intimate details of their relationship, and we really don't need to. It's none of our business. But I just wanted to do this video because I felt a connection with Gypsy from the very start because of my sister. And I also know that Gypsy is in extensive therapy, which is really, really good. I'm really glad to hear that because she's definitely going to need that. And that's nothing to be ashamed about. She went through a lot. So I hope that therapy is helping her. But I believe that she felt obligated to please him just like she felt obligated to please her own mom, And she wasn't pleasing herself. She doesn't know who she is still. She had her identity wiped from her for so long, she felt like nothing but a servant or a slave. She really didn't notice or believe that she was, being controlled like that, I think, until she actually started talking to her boyfriend, Nick, before this tragedy happened, because I believe that Nick kind of gave her a sense of freedom in a way, because he was out there and she was stuck there, but he gave her hope. You know what I mean? Gypsy also had apologized for her lack of accountability in her first month of being released. I did post this already, but again, she says, I'm sorry, I'm learning. I take accountability for my part, Blanchard says. I did a bad thing, but I've also been given a second chance at life. So, please give her the grace that she's desiring because she does deserve it. She did her time, I know. I mean, there is a lot of hate because of the situation, but it is what it is. But if you truly understand and put yourself in her shoes, after all of what Gypsy went through, she's probably having a really hard time adjusting to being free. So it's like scary to someone to come out into the world and, you don't necessarily have a sense of self or an identity or a support system. That's got to be really rough. My sister and my brother were both in prison, unfortunately, and we had to watch them try to transition back into society, and it is very tough, and they didn't spend years. Well, my sister did 2 years. My brother did a year. And, I mean, it's not like they were there for 10 years, so you have to really understand what she's really transitioning from, abuse to prison to, bam, here you are in real life. I feel really bad for Gypsy's mental issues caused from her extreme abuse. I went through a lot of abuse in my childhood as well. Probably nothing even remotely compared to what she went through. My sister, though, was supposed to be my guardian, but she manipulated me. She had me scared out of my wits most of the time. She once put 9 knives into the door so that I could not leave without her knowing. I mean, stuff like that was just crazy. The only family member left that would still communicate with her in my adulthood because of the fact of how truly manipulating she was and sick in the mind she was. That's how bad it got. Nobody wanted to associate with her anymore. And I would hate for that to happen to Gypsy, so I'm glad she's building better new relationships with people. So before we judge anything that Gypsy does or doesn't do, we need to be reminded of her conditioned mentally and be very compassionate and empathetic, in my opinion. Someone in her condition, in my opinion, needs that very, very much, more than anything. I love the quote by Gypsy on Today Magazine's website. Like when she first got out, "I've been waiting for this for so long," says Gypsy. "I'm ready for freedom, and she deserves it, and it's time to let her have it." She's right. I believe that her massive support also overwhelmed Gypsy and probably even Ken, or even Ryan at that point. That also could have played a huge role in their marriage declining like it did. Also, upon doing more research for this video on CBS News, I found out that Gypsy's announcement came out just weeks after Gypsy deleted her huge following TikTok account and her huge following Instagram account. So that's crazy that she deleted those, but do you see just how intense social media was for her upon getting out? She couldn't handle it. And I figured that would happen. And you can't look at her and think, oh gosh, she's just a loser. She couldn't keep her social... It's rough. So, I mean, have just a little bit of compassion for her. I believe everything was just too much. She married too soon. She was looking for that codependency, and it just wasn't going to happen the way she thought it was. And I believe that she's got a good friendship with her ex, Ken. And hopefully she's, going to do well and be happy. That's all we can ask for, right? I mean, even people that haven't been abused in life have been completely destroyed by social media. So with that being said, I mean, you're literally under a microscope constantly, and that's exactly what she was like. I don't want that anymore. And she, at least had the control this time to be able to get rid of the social medias that were plaguing her life at this time, and all that. So, I mean, good for her in that way. She's doing what's right for her, and for once, we can be happy for her and let her do so. On the other end, no, she didn't have social medias for so long that, I mean, what is the difference if she deleted them to her? Anyways, she didn't need social media. For so long she sat in prison, she didn't have social media. You know what I'm saying? So she doesn't need us all in her business. She needs to focus on herself, focus on the details of her possible divorce with her husband, and whatever she's doing with her ex Ken is what she's doing. It's none of our business. But I still felt that it was good to make a video and let you all know the news on the situation. That's it for today's video. I love you all. Thank you for coming again. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here with me. But remember, just don't be an asshole. Because you know what? When you go out and be assholes, then there's consequences. Like one of them being my foot